How your mom and dad destroyed you. Many of us have this one thing. Well, this one thing actually is a destroyer of a lot of things. It's called temper or temperament. Temper or temperament or behavior is something that you actually receive from either your upbringing or the experiences that you've actually encountered as you evolved in age. Think of this right here, and I'll just paint this picture. Mom, dad in the household, 80 to 95% of the households, especially in the brown community, are destroyed or separated. So, and I put emphasis on this particular group of individuals that look like myself because there's a lot that I see as a brown man or a black man here in America. And when we look at the people that have taught us, we're basically replicas of them. And when I mean this thing called temperament, really just pay attention to yourself. Most of you guys tend to be out of control when there's things that you don't know how to either respond to, react to physically, or put the correct emotion there. So you resort back to temper and anger. Say, for instance, if someone, I'll give something that's really easy, stepped on an individual's shoe who has not been taught to respond in a manner in which is cohesive with other humans. That person, their first line of response or first action will be to go to a temper. And especially if he's taught that or she's taught that. But I'm focusing on the guys right now, and I'll get to the females here shortly. You've seen guys, and of course, they've been in scenarios, whether it's someone bumped them, someone looked at them wrong, and in a situation where someone made a Subway sandwich incorrectly, the person actually, the male actually shot him. You name the scenario where there's violence or dysfunction, you see that there's a person that's out of control. They could not control their temper in the midst of trying to resolve or navigate through whatever issue that they've encountered at the time. Prime example, just growing up, I remember my mom had a issue with her temper. I would only see it when my siblings or myself, not my dad, and her function, but I seen it as a child. I seen it as she communicated with my sisters at times. I remember one time I was telling my nephew, he's a handsome young man. He was 16 at the time, going through puberty, and he had, of course, acne on his face. I was going there to visit, and the first time I laid my eyes on him, because I hadn't seen him in quite some time, my mom spoke first, and she said, "Have you been putting that medicine on your face? Because your face is bumpy, it's all things negative, all the terms that will break a person down or not make them feel good about themselves simply because the person believes that she's actually saying the right things to the person. But these are all things that are, they cause an insecurity. I'll put it that way." So as she finished communicating with my nephew, I immediately turned around and said to him, "You're handsome. You look great. You're 16 years of age, so there's a chance that you will have acne. I've been through acne. A lot of us have been through acne." It was right after that, my mom had this thing, and I know a lot of you guys, especially in the brown community, have seen your mom just angry and she's clapping. That right there in itself showed me where I got my issues from when I did foster them, when I did exhibit them. Prime example with me, and I know a lot of guys out there that grew up around some form of anger, meaning parent anger plus the method of resolve, which of course you want to handle any situation in a peaceful resolve. But in my particular case, it was peaceful. But yet, when I seen my mom with that attitude, it bothered me. Because prior to that, I was getting therapy. And I had mentors at the time that were communicating with me, and they identified issues that I had as a person. And I simply want you guys to really understand what I'm doing when I'm talking to you. I want you to identify what you're fostering and you're exhibiting to other human beings. Now, getting back to my mom and myself, she came from a household that was broken, in which I can recall someone making a statement that my grandfather and grandmother, they were dysfunctional as well. And that's the stock that my mom came from. So to see that and recognize that, it really made me feel good that I made a change and I was able to control my anger issues. Now, I've never been violent, but yet I've been the one that would always shut you down because you were always in the wrong. I could not take those things from anybody that will come to me and just lay blame, whether it's right or wrong. And my communication, just due to the fact that my responses were lacking because I didn't know how to use my words at the time, I resorted to an emotion to resolve it, which a lot of you guys do that today. And you guys carry that same behavior into your relationships from a child to a teen and even up in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And some of you guys die with this stuff. That anger emotion is one thing that will not allow you to connect with another human being. What that emotion will do as a result of it, because you think that that's right, you think that it's appropriate, and you try to validate it with your words. Even if the other party doesn't want that anger, they want a peaceful resolve. But the person that only knows detriment or turmoil or anger, that's the only way that you're going to function. I encourage you to recognize that anger, when it surfaces or really shows itself, when someone's either talking to you or whatever's going on in your world. And that's the first option or emotion that you run to for your resolve. If you look back at any one of the situations that you resolved with anger, how did that work out for you? And the chances are high that it has not worked out properly for you because anger tends to beget anger.